And welcome back to Thoughts of the Roundtable with me, Matt Rebar.
And me, Paul Laus.
Now, we haven't recorded in a little while, and
Nah,
I'm not
no
gonna
big deal.
I'm not gonna shame us. I'm not gonna shame us. Life happens. Idealistically, we'd be doing this a bit more regularly, but things happen. But
Well, it's
between
just
the
one of
oh yeah, go ahead, Paul.
no, it's just one of those things where, if anyone has the notifications on, they might see it finally, like, oh my gosh, an episode has finally dropped. I will admit there's legitimately a couple podcasts I listen to where everything is uploaded a couple every like day or every other day.
Mhm.
There's some that I listen to that are like it's literally like 6 months in between episodes.
Yeah.
But I love it. I don't care.
I
It's
know
fine.
it's. I think we keep people on high alert because you never know when you're going to get thoughts
Hmm.
in your stream. But uh, between our last recording and now, Paul, we celebrated a milestone:
We
4
did?
years of Thoughts of the Roundtable.
Has it really been that long?
4 years, and this is going to be, I believe, our 87th episode over 4 years. So yeah, on average, we're doing like I don't know, like 20 a year. We're almost weekly.
That's more than once a month. That's
Yeah,
more than
no,
once a
I
month.
mean, if it
No,
happens,
honestly,
it goes from like maybe we do like three in 1 month, we take a month off, we come back and do like three, take a month off. We have a weird consistency, but 4 years, Paul. Our first
hey,
episode uploaded January, I believe, 29th, 2019.
and I remember one of the first of all, I if you would have told me we would have done 87 episodes of these when we started, I wouldn't have believed you, to be honest.
Yeah,
Who gets that far in a podcast? Not many people.
yeah.
Um, but I remember we used to film it together at my house, and then COVID happened. We've never like I feel like a corporation that's like wants people to come back for the office culture, but we're just like, no, we're good. We're not doing that. And
No,
we recorded
I
separately.
agree. We definitely do not have any interest in making the hassle of recording together in person. I mean, and not that I don't
Right.
want to see you in person, but like it was a hassle, it'd be like, when are you free? When are you free? When can you
Mm-hmm.
drive? When can you drive? And now I get to see you, we can talk, we can record, but at
And be done.
much more leisure. Because I'll be honest with you, if we didn't have this option, let's be real, we didn't have this option, we had to record in person, we would
We'd
not be
never
at
get it done.
87. We would probably be at like 25.
Oh yeah. Well, especially now because I'm not free until evenings or whatever. But
Yeah.
personal life. Um, but I do just to show the growth of this
Mhm.
podcast. I want you to remember back when we first started doing this, and you had the car that didn't have a front bumper, and also you remember one of the first times you came to my house to record, and you leaked oil all over my driveway. Do you remember that? And you just like there was just an oil slick on my driveway for like months, like an entire summer almost.
The amount of people who associate me with bad car memories, there's a lot of people,
Is
Paul.
way
You
too
are,
many.
yeah, there's way too many people that go, remember that time with your car? And I go, yeah, I am not good with cars. My cars are
Yeah.
always a mess, inside, outside. I mean, I honestly view cars, and I feel like some car enthusiasts are going to take a, but I view cars as pieces of metal that get me places. That's it. That's all a car is to me. Uh,
I see it as utility, to be honest,
yeah,
like a gas electric car. It's a utility.
yeah,
And like I get my cars for purpose.
yeah.
And I have a little tiny Ford Focus that's it's like electric blue, and that getting the blue is like my personality coming out, but it's just in a little tiny car. But
You know what's funny?
um
When I
I
bought
feel like
my, oh, go ahead, Paul.
no, I feel like I'm gonna be the dad minivan soon though. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, you have two kids. You are slowly but surely getting into minivan territory. But when I bought my car, I don't know if I've ever said this, and if I have on this podcast, please DM me. But when I bought my car, Paul, they were like, "Do you want the white or do you want a color?" And I was like, "Oh, well, what's the price difference?" They go, "White is 16,000, and the color add $50." And I go, "I'll take the white." It wasn't the.
Really?
I was like, I'm not spending extra money for a color. Come on,
Was it
come
50
on.
bucks a month or 50 bucks
No,
total?
like $50 total, but still, Paul, I was spending a lot of money on a car. I'm not gonna throw in an extra
Yeah,
money.
white cars are gross.
I know it actually really is. My car looks like salt and grime, and like the devil's
Yeah.
booty hole be rubbing up on my car. It does not look good. But
White cars and black cars just show way too much dirt and salt and just no thanks.
we
And
can't all have electric blue cars like you, Paul. Oh my gosh.
please,
Although
my other
that's
car
cool.
is red. Is red. It was funny because just the growth of my life. So my wife also had a Ford Focus,
Yeah.
and so both of us we had the Foci, I had two Focus, and so hers was just like it was just a piece of junk. And I remember the heat shield fell off on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and we literally just welded it back on top. I'm like, I don't even care. I don't want to fix it. We
You
just welded
welded
it to
it? You were like some Middle Earth blacksmith welding the car together?
the
What do
yeah.
you
We
even
just
weld with? Like, how do you like? If you asked me to weld something, I'd go to Home Depot and just stand there like, how do you weld something, Paul? I don't.
you just have a welder and you just do little spots. So
It's called a welder. That the tool is called a welder.
a little stick, little. Use a friends. That's all I did. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had no
You
idea what I was
are.
doing, but I
It's
had
like
access
I
to them.
feel like I'm listening to like a foreign language, and I'm like, are they talking about me right now?
I'm not
I
gonna lie. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. It worked though. It fixed it. It didn't rattle anymore.
yeah.
I
Wow.
will. This is one of the funniest moments of my life. So I went. We were driving downtown and in
Yeah.
Katie's car, and this is when the heat shield was like starting to hang off the
Mm-hmm.
car,
Mm-hmm.
and other things were going on. It the brakes were bad, whatever. We didn't have the money to fix it, so we just drove it downtown.
Yeah.
And we get out and we go downtown, and this homeless guy comes up to us,
Yeah.
and we thought that he was gonna, ask us for change or something, and it was like midnight at this time or whatever. And he comes up and was like, "No, no, no, thank you, man." And he goes, "No, no, 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 no. I know a guy who can fix your car. I think you need your car fixed." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
like the homeless guy's coming up to me and be like, "Buddy, you need to fix the car.
Yeah.
Like, please."
My dad doesn't live down. So there was one time, I think we were in Philadelphia. My mom and I, we're kind of the kind hearts of the family, my mom and I. So we're walking down the street and this lady comes up. She's like, "Oh, please, I need some money. I need to
Mhm.
get to somewhere." And my mom and I are like, "Oh my gosh, oh," and we're like, "How much do you need?" And she broke character. She was like, "Oh, I need 13.45." And we're like, "Oh, okay." And my dad comes up and he's like pulls us away. And my mom and I were like, "But she needed 13.45." He's like, "You two are big dummies." That was so staged. I was like, "Really?" And like looking back, she did like one of those acting like fourth wall breaks. And I'm like, "Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, like we are dummies." Like, I
I
don't know. I'm such a bleeding heart, man. I'm the worst.
Well, I had a friend who we were downtown, and he's my friend is a nurse.
Yeah.
And this guy came up to me. He's like, "Man, I just need like 50 to 100 bucks. Like, I'm diabetic and I need, money for this and that for, medication stuff." And my buddy who's a nurse is like, "Tell me your numbers." And so I don't know what he started talking about. He started talking about sugar levels and all this. And my buddy ended up giving him a hundred bucks. And so we walked away, and he goes, "There's two." He goes, "I did that because there's only two real outcomes." He goes, "All those numbers are right. So either he actually is diabetic, or he rehearsed it so much and knew so much about it that he deserves it." So it's like, he
Wow.
goes, he's like, he either actually is diabetic and needs this stuff, or he knows, like, he researches so much he deserves the
I was gonna
prize.
say he was at the library, like doing
Yeah,
the research. Like he has like those like academic goggles on. Like, all right, I see if this is the blood sugar. Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
I also love this. Can I be honest? And I don't mean to talk ill of those who are experiencing, any sort of level of poverty
right,
or unhoused, but it's
right.
my least favorite is when someone comes up and you could tell like they're about to ask for something. You just tell.
Mhm,
You can just tell. And they're like, "Hey, do you have a second?" And I just go, "Oh, I don't have any money, or I don't have any food on me." Sometimes if I'm carrying
yeah,
leftovers, there you go, like
yeah. Mhm.
whatever, or I have a protein bar. And then they're like, "I didn't ask. I was gonna ask for money." I was like, "Really? What are you here to ask? You want to talk about the weather? You come up to ask me where I got my sweater from Old Navy? Really?" Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That kind of gets me a little like, hmm. But I will say, my one friend, I know now we're on this topic. My one friend was like, "Yeah, someone came up and asked for like food, and I gave them a protein bar or like a raisin bran bar or
Mhm.
something." And the person looked at it and goes, Oh no, I'm good on this. I was like, how can you be picky? Like, if it's a raisin granola bar, like, come on, like, just I don't know. That felt like, dude, like, how hungry are you? Because like, if I'm hungry, I'm eating the raisin granola bar,
Oh yeah,
no
yeah,
question.
without a doubt. By the way, you said you had some breaking news. What is the breaking news?
That was the breaking news that we
Oh,
were
that was
4 years.
that was the breaking news.
Isn't
Wow.
that breaking news? I don't know. I thought that was breaking news. It was a cool, How many podcasts? Let's be real. If we go on Apple Podcasts, we look at all podcasts of all time. How many survived like 10 episodes or like 3 months? Let's be real.
I'm telling you,
And we've
four
made it 4
years,
years. Paul,
4
our
years.
friendship now goes back like 6 or 7 years. Like we're stuck with each other at this
Wait,
point.
that is wait. So I met you probably what 2016?
No, I think 17, 18. But
No, I had almost left in 18 at the station, so it was 20 at least
you
2017.
think 2016? So we've had 7 years of friendship. Yeah, we're stuck with each
Yeah,
other, Paul.
I was
Like
talking
we're
to one of
gonna
my
be
friends.
we're gonna be old men, like kids these days.
Can you imagine what the millennial nursing home is going to be like? Like it's just going to be nuts. Just SpongeBob playing in the background, and
I remember when there was good artists in our day, like Katy Perry and Justin Bieber.
they should just give us. They should just give us like fake AOL chats. The,
But like you're like a little older than I am, Paul. I technically am considered a millennial Z cusp. I'm
wait,
a
what year are you?
cusper. Well, I was born in late '94,
Oh,
and
you are. Yeah, you're.
yeah,
Are
I'm
you even a
like
millennial at that point?
no, I'm like technically like closer millennial than I think I am Z, but it's like one of those like cusp years. It's like, like
Yeah.
it's like kind of because like let's be real. I know I'm technically a 90s kid. I have no clue what happened in the 90s. My
See,
earliest memories are 2000s, like the aughts, man.
I was born in 90, and so like the 90s were my era,
Wait
and
a
then
minute.
the
I thought
early
we celebrated your 30th birthday last year.
2020 we did.
I feel like I remember last year we had a birthday party for you and you were 30 last year.
No, I was
No?
born in 19. I'm 32, my friend.
Oh my gosh, dude, time flies. I swear we were just celebrating your 30th and you were like, man, I'm
No,
turning 30 and blah, blah, blah. We were like, it's
I,
okay,
I,
dude.
that was 2020. It was super depressing because my 30th birthday was on a Zoom call. It was the worst thing ever. It was
Not
literally
only
the
were you
worst.
turning 30, which is that's a big year. I would
Hmm.
say the big years you have, like the big ones 18, 21, like 16, sweet 16, that's fine, whatever. 13, you're a teenager, whatever. But 18, 21, 25, I would argue, 30, 40, 50,
Then
so,
you're
you know what I
done.
mean? 60. Yeah, I would say like any decade, like big
No,
decade is like,
like I've never been the person who like birthdays mess you up. 30 messed me up for some reason.
really?
Yeah, I didn't like it. 30 was a rough one.
Yeah.
And I think it was exacerbated by the fact that I turned it in 2020 when everything was in like middle of lockdown.
Yeah.
And so like I turned 30 years old and it was just a hellish year because I had lost my job that year. That it was nightmarish. So that pile and everything is like, oh great, now I'm 30. It was
Mhm.
whatever. But yes, but now that I think about it, like yes, I was a 90s kid. I grew up through the entirety of the 90s. I existed through the entirety of the 90s.
Do you
But
remember
my
any
my
like do you remember 90s? Like for real though, you're a
oh,
90s kid. You remember like existing in the 90s. Is that
for sure. Well, I think I pretty much remember like 96 on because I remember vividly getting Ocarina of Time for N64, which is 97.
yeah.
And I played the living shit out of that game. And so I remember Bomberman 64 getting so I basically like when things really clicked in, like
Hmm.
96, 97. Like I remember playing those games. I remember Tamagotchis and all that.
Hmm.
But my prime like early teen years was the early 2000s, like
Wow.
basically post 9/11.
Yeah.
And which I was actually talking to my wife about this the other day. Isn't it weird to think about the dress difference like pre and post 9/11? Like there's seriously like a stark difference
I'm
between the
honestly
thing.
jealous of the people who got to just like walk into airports and walk onto the plane. Do you know how difficult a post
Well,
9/11 airplane experience has become?
well,
Like,
one thing I vividly remember, and this is why, yeah, I remember the 90s, is because my aunt lives on the West Coast, and so she'd visit every summer. And I remember walking her to the gate of the plane to wish her, wish see her off to the plane. So I remember like going past security, going to the physical gate
Mhm.
and sitting and saying, "Hey, goodbye." And I think about that now. I'm like, that's crazy that we used to do that.
Yeah.
Like, not just we used to go to the physical gate and wait with them.
Yeah. That is. And now if you want to eat in an airport, you have to buy a ticket. I mean,
Ah, well, who's gonna eat in there?
no
It's like
more airplane, no more airport dining, for easy convenience. Dude, you know what? This is wild real quick. This reminds me, on my last plane, I was sitting waiting for the plane and they had just like one of the gates next to me had just closed. They were like, "We're flying to Kansas City." All of a sudden I hear like and these two older people are like booking it to that gate, but like the door was closed. So like they were effed, right?
yeah.
But the guy opens the door, like opens the
How?
actual door, alarms go blaring. Security comes out like it's like a Kim Possible animated show. They're like, "Wow," like security. And I'm like, looking at this guy and this lady, and the lady's like, "I said not to do that, Gerald." And I had my AirPods in, and I do that thing when you have the AirPods in, and it's time for like you do this little like double tap, like stop the volume. I need to hear this.
Wait, you can double tap these?
Yeah, you can double tap AirPods if you set them in your. Oh, Paul just vanished. I think Paul just died. I think it's literally he just dropped the call, and I think what happened was I told him about double tap, and I think he double tapped, and it kicked him off the Zoom. So, wow. Oh, there he is. Wait, did double tapping just now kick you off the call?
It ended the call.
See, you have them set. You can go to your iPhone settings. Anyway, that was hilarious. So the best part is security's there, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. We were just trying to get on the plane. My bad." And they're trying to like act like it wasn't a big deal, and like, "Oh, well, like, thanks for having us. We'll just find another plane." And the security's like, "Dude, like, we're taking you in. Like, we're taking you to I don't know security's
The brig.
underground, interrogation room." And I know the lady kept saying, "Gerald, I told you not to do that, Gerald." I
Now they're
was
not
like,
going to St. Louis.
"Yeah, now we're not gonna see, our daughter Stacy in Kansas City." Anyway,
They
wild. I
probably
don't
just,
know
I
why.
wonder what they do. And they probably just rough them up, give them a little bit of a fine, and
Gave
send them
him
on their
one
way.
of my favorite
But
quotes. If it was like from a documentary, and the cop was like, "Did I want to do some 1970s police work and rough him up a little bit? I did, but I couldn't." And I was like, 1970s police work? Like, that sounds
that's
horrifying.
2023 police work, by the way, roughing them up.
Nothing. Some things change, but some things don't change. I gotta tell
Wait,
you
can
though,
I?
Paul. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I no, I just want to tell you one thing.
Of course.
I've never had a crazy flight experience ever, except one time, and it's a very quick story, and I'll tell you this. So I've had turbulence, whatever, but nothing really like crazy passenger wise ever. Somehow
Yeah.
I've always avoided that, except for one time, and it was this guy who was flying from San Diego to Cleveland, and this guy in front of me, he was in the emergency exit,
Yeah.
and he there was a guy in the aisle seat and he was in the window seat, and he leaned over and was like sleeping on the guy in the aisle seat,
Yeah.
like this older guy. And so he like the younger guy at the window seat starts to stir or whatever, and you could just tell he just reeked like booze. And we talked to the guy, and he was like, "Do you know that guy?" He goes, "I have no idea who it is." We're like, we thought like he was your kid or something. Like he's like leaning on, and he goes, "I have no idea who that is." So the flight attendants kind of see what's going on,
Mhm.
and mind you, it's like 8 in the morning, and they tap on the guy's shoulder and like, "Sir, are you okay?" And he was like hammered and like obliterated, and they're like, "We need to see your ticket." And so he hands them the in-flight magazine, and they're like, "No, sir, we need to see your ticket." So he just starts biting and ripping the in-flight magazine apart, and then after that, he just immediately passes out, just gone.
Wow.
And so they're like, "Sir, sir," and they start like shaking him, like, and they're like,
Oh, not a good
"What?"
idea. Not a good
And so they
idea.
they start violently shaking him, and he's out. He's out. So much so that the flight attendant comes and checks his pulse, and like they're checking his pulse to make sure he's still alive. And so eventually they're like, okay, he's still got a pulse. They take their knuckles and do the sternum thing, where they rub it on. They do that to like people who like pass out to like get him to like. They literally had to knuckle his sternum and to wake him up, and to like, and they're like, dude, like you're so drunk, you're barely conscious.
Wow.
And so they had to like drag him up to the front of the plane.
That's wild.
And we're like, of course, this guy's going to Cleveland. Of course.
It's because he's going to Cleveland that he drank that much of the flight in the first place.
Yeah.
I think what we're gonna have to do, Paul, we might have to end this episode and play the game next time. But before we go on this episode, I gotta tell you, I don't want to give it away, but I know we're on episode 86. I know we don't record a lot, but I have 4 ideas for 4 episodes to celebrate our upcoming 100th episode.
By the way, I do want to bring up, if you got a couple minutes.
Yes, of course.
Because I don't want the next time we record this may be irrelevant. Have you happened to watch the MH370 documentary on Netflix?
No, what is MH370?
The plane that went missing? How do you not remember that? Remember that?
Is it the one that went over like Bangladesh or something?
How do you not know?
Girl, do you know how much news we have in today's society? Every time I go on Twitter, there's a new disaster, there's a new problem.
People are about to be pissed. I know we got like 5 listeners, but 4 of them are about to be pissed off at you because you haven't listened.
Okay, tell me about the Burger King 360.
No, I'm not gonna do anything. It's actually good. Go and watch it.
Okay.
You have to go watch it.
Okay, I'll go watch it.
We'll talk about it next time. We'll record next week or something, so it's not totally relevant, and we'll watch it.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna. It's way too detailed to get into if you don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Freaking Bangladesh, get out of here. All right.
Okay. Anyway,
watch it.
We're coming up to 100. I have 4 ideas for 4 episodes I want to do to celebrate our 100th, and I don't know if I want to spoil it for the listeners because I'm telling you, these are 4 excellent ideas. I really cannot wait. And who knows when we'll get there? We might get there in a couple months. Might be at the end of the year. Might be 5 years of Thoughts the Roundtable, but we will get there. 30. We will get there. We're gonna get there. This has been a very illuminating, off-topic for sure episode, and we will see you next time on Thoughts the Roundtable. Thanks so much for listening, and adios.
Later.